Okay, so Genshin Impact is an open world RPG, blah blah blah, all that shit, okay? So I want to draw like Genshin Impact. That's the main point of this video. So I am going to break down the art style, not really, I gave up halfway through because I am like that. And then I drew in Genshin Impact's art style because I am a thief. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, that's not true. Um, yeah. Anyways, I don't want to explain too much because maybe some of you guys just want to get to this, like, to the part where I start drawing and you want me to shut up. So I'm just gonna go straight to the drawing and introduction part. See ya. I'm like going to be yapping a lot for this part, but basically I started with the sketch and I didn't really like bother that much with making the sketch look like already look accurate to Genshin Impact's art style. So like let me think. Let me think. Sorry, this is not planned out at all. Oh yeah, for the art style, I had to kind of like analyze most of the things. The most distinctive factor I think I took from Genshin Impact's art style was like the face and like the head. I had like this tendency to like make the faces really like sharp, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it. So Genshin doesn't exactly have that same kind of thing I have going on with my art. I don't know if it's really noticeable or not. But I just overall made the face like shorter than I usually make it and put the eyes lower than where I usually put them. Because that's kind of what I realized from Genshin. I mean, at least I feel like the proportions are definitely different based on what kind of character model you're going off of. Like, you know, there's like I don't know. Yeah, but I tried to match it up as best as I could for like how V-Flower would be if she was in Genshin, and I feel like she'd have the same kind of like character body model as like, I don't know, Faruzan or I don't know. I don't know why Faruzan was the only character I thought of like Hu Tao. But so I kind of just went with like that kind, and oh fuck, I meant yeah, Ayaka too, because I think she was the character I referenced the most. I don't know if you can see it because I used a reference window, but yeah. So once I got the sketch done, I definitely had to work a bit more like meticulously with the line art because I feel like line art is one of the most distinct factors of an art style, like not being the main one but still a very heavy one. So at first I tried to like, you know, copy the line weight a bit to an extent, and I kind of realized during my study portion that the line art had like a very saturated but dark color. Like it was like a lot more saturated than I usually put it at. So I had to kind of work with that. I think, yeah, Genshin does have like different line art colors, but I got kind of lazy and I just went with the same color, and I hope nobody noticed, but now that I said that, you probably noticed. I was like, I'm very not used to drawing line art, so I was in pain. I was like in a lot of pain while making the line art. Because I know Genshin has like extremely clean line art, unlike some other games like, for example, Reverse 1999. But because of that, I had to do a bunch of line art and I suffered immensely. But I mean, the things I do for like cool art, right? So as I was going through the line art, I kind of like, it's a bit difficult in my opinion to actually see Genshin Impact's line art and like how it's built if it's covered in like just the like render. Oh fuck, so I'm sorry. My like if it's like incredibly rendered, I feel like it's a bit more difficult to kind of pinpoint what the line art is exactly like. I don't really know if I'm making sense or not, but in my opinion, it was like that for me. So actually because of that, that's why I had done like a small art style study like before I started this one. It wasn't very long though because I'm incredibly impatient, but I did do a line art study in which I think it helped a lot. So yeah. Honestly, despite all the pain and suffering that happened because of this line art, I actually was pretty happy with how the lines turned out because I mean, honestly, I don't know. I'm just gonna go on a few tangents right now, but while the speed paint's going on, but like when a few years ago, I was incredibly like picky with my line art, and I would make sure the line art is like clean, and also I'd have no line weight, but whatever. But yeah, so for the shading of the characters in Genshin, I was like looking at Ayaka's face from the reference, and I kind of noticed like the shading has two different values almost. It's kind of blended into each other, but I can definitely kind of make out two different values, or maybe even three if that's a thing. But like when it goes near like the end of the shadow, I think there's like a bit of a more saturated pinkish tone to it. So because of that, I think later on during the shading, I tried to add a bit of that, but I don't know if it gave off like the same effect. So yeah. For the eyes as well, like there were two different shading too, and like around the edges of the eyes, there'd be there'd definitely be more of a saturated color, but it would be a bit lighter too. So for V-Flower, like, I'm sorry, but I love V-Flower to death and all, but like the hair color, like the white hair, is like really difficult for me to, like, I don't know, understand. I even had to use like Arla Chino's like official art as a reference for white hair, because I genuinely didn't know how I was gonna do that. Like it's like you can't make it too dark or it would look like an old person gray color, but then you can't make it like too bright or it's gonna blend in with like a white background or it's gonna look unnatural. I mean, I didn't have a white background in the end, but it was still like I was still suffering. That's the point. But I think I was able to get like a decent shade of white. I don't really know. So also for Genshin Impact's art style, they have like a mix of cel shading and like blending. So I kind of had to like go between those two. I mean, I think my art style also has like a mix between cel shading and blending, but I don't know, it's like a bit in a different way. So yeah. So I skipped the speed paint to a bit of a later time. And I'm sorry, but I'm not I'm not rendering that microphone. Like I was actually considering at one point to like draw properly, but I don't know. I went fuck that and I just stopped. So, I mean, the main focus was the person, not the details, I guess, so whatever. I think I spent like the most time on trying to get the eyes correctly though. I was like kind of proud of myself for the eyes because I feel like the eyes were the closest I got to Genshin's art style. I don't really know. I might need a second opinion on this one, but yeah, I just felt like the eyes were the best part of my art. Because, I mean, I don't know, I didn't want to spend all that time on shading. I mean, technically speaking, I could have spent more time on making it more accurate, because I think the total time was around 2 hours long, but yeah, I don't know. So, let me think. I was like, I don't exactly know if the Genshin art uses like multiply layers, and honestly by the looks of it, I have a suspicion that they might not, like, I don't know. It's really hard for me to tell, but I used a multiply layer anyways because I'm incredibly lazy and I don't want to have to go through the trouble of like doing different shades for each different color on the shirt and the clothing. It's just like, nah, I'm not doing that. I did notice though, like, the highlights are still present through the shadows on the hair, if you can see through it on the reference shown right now. And I don't usually do that in my main art style, so I kind of try to change that up, but that's also part of the reason why I find it super difficult to shade white hair. It's because, like, if you make it too light, the highlights are gonna show through, and like, I mean, of course you could go without the highlights, but I don't know why, I just really like highlights. So I began shading the hair at this point in the video, and I had to do like a lot of a darker shade than I'd usually go with, and like in a lot bigger of an area, because I mean, looking at the reference, that's what they do. They have like very heavy lighting, and I feel like I have a problem in my artworks where I'm not confident enough to put down like very dark shades, but I have been slowly improving on that, and it's going to come out in a either next video or a video after that. You're definitely gonna see that. I'm still keeping kind of like, I'm not exactly explaining what the project is, but yeah, it's coming for sure. So the eyes also happen to have like, it's kind of hard to explain, but between the shadow, going from shadow to light, there's a line that goes between them. I think I'm painting it right now. And the pupil is like a lighter color for most cases, I think. And so I tried to replicate that as best as possible, and I think I did a pretty good job. I also, of course, added a bit of like blending to it too with different colors, because I'm pretty sure Genshin has that as well. And then after that, I added the highlights. The highlights, I believe, are just a white dot. The way I usually do it is I add a black dot and then I add a white dot over it to like exemplify the highlight color, but it's just like another distinct trait of Genshin's art style, so I decided to go with that. I mean, to talk a little bit about Genshin, because I do want to talk about like the topic at hand while I'm drawing, is that like I've been playing for either 2 years or nearly 2 years by now, and I'm AR like 66, I think. Yeah, 66, 67, I forget, I'm sorry. And like, I don't know, it feels like it's become a really big part of my life now, and I don't think that's a good thing. I feel like, honestly, I have like a love-hate relationship with Genshin. I'm like, the gameplay is really fun, and the game itself is fun, and one of the like best parts about playing a game like that to me is I get characters I can like enjoy. Just like getting characters that I like in general is just like, I don't know, it feels good. It feels good. So, yeah, but I mean, I don't dare say that I play Genshin Impact in public though, because I remember I did once and I regretted it so bad. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that again. Like, I don't know why, but like, no, I do know why, but the thing is, when you say that you're a Genshin Impact player, it can be taken two different ways. Either they don't, I mean, not two different ways, but either they don't know what Genshin is, or they do and they play it themselves, or they think you're incredibly cringe. Like, I mean, it is what it is, whatever. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. So I ended up actually changing the background a bit to like invoke a bit more contrast between the background and the character. I mean, Genshin, they have very detailed backgrounds, but I just added a bunch of blobs in mine because it's a character art study. It's a character art study. It's not a background art study. I'm probably going to do a background art study someday, but today's not the day. I don't have the motivation for that. But basically, yeah, so I don't exactly know if Genshin does. I think they do this technique with their shading, where they add the cell shading and then like at the very edges, they like blur it a bit. Either that or I'm just being delusional and it's just because that's what I do. But I think a lot of artists do this, and I think I could see it a bit on, who is it? I forget her name. Shoot, I'm a disgrace. But yeah, I think they do it a bit if you can see it over there. So I tried to do that a bit too, but I don't really know how it turned out. But yeah, I did spend a bit too much of my like love and care on the face and hair. That rhymed unintentionally, sorry. So yeah, I mean, now it's going on to the speed paint because of course I didn't want to record too much footage because I sped it up by 5 times through CapCut, but the footage, like all the footage that I showed you was like combined it'd probably be about 40 to 50 minutes or even an hour, and I don't think my tablet can handle that kind of storage. So I just cut it a bit short and went straight to the speed paint. So the sketch, in my opinion, really doesn't look like Genshin. It just looks like a random art style that is like still not mine. But I don't really mind that much because I do want to go on like a kind of art style replica kind of thing because I feel like it's just really fun to get to experiment with different art styles. And overall, I really did have a lot of fun with this project. So yeah. I think the next copying an art style video I'm gonna do is with Reverse 1999. Reverse 1999. Because it's like a very, in my opinion, it's like the art style's it's a really big contrast to Genshin's art style. Like the line art, it's a lot more, I don't know, liberating, and the shading is a lot more like messy, and they use a lot like more different like digital art brushes. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. Like Reverse seems more, I don't know, artistic in my opinion, and Genshin seems more like professional. I don't really know how to explain it. But I like both a lot, honestly, and I think I can kind of see a bit of both being implemented in my own art style, but I think more of my own art style is like Reverse 1999, like is leaning towards Reverse 1999, but that's probably only because of the messy line art. So, I think that's it for the speed paint, yeah. And I added a color burn layer, of course, because I thought it gave the drawing a more saturated look, and I like that. So, yeah.